Shall
said
means,
should.
yeah.
I'm just trying to.
Yeah, you're right.
Come
Should
on,
work.
sir.
matter, man.
Yeah, words.
So yes, I agree, it
Yeah, we
shall.
could make that notation to change that to shall, yeah.
I could just see someone like, well, I may do it.
That's your one input.
Okay, I'm done.
Good job, man.
My office look.
There we go.
Okay. Where are we at?
Since we're on the note topic, so note number 6
We are?
is actually kind of across the board there at manufactured homes, Class A individual lots. You'll see that each of those has a number 6 next to them. Number 6 says, a manufactured home shall have its own lot in accordance with the R4 lot specifications. So if I'm in an R1 and an R2 and an R3, and I'm also in a LO and a C1 and a C2, my specifications for those zones are different. So I do want to get clarification on that, because I would, in my mind, you're not going to have R4 specifications in an R1 zone.
Yeah, why is that there?
I don't know.
Okay.
So that's something that
I would say
we need to look
in
into.
accordance with what zone it is placed in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So.
That was my follow-up question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait till Matt can talk.
Yeah, I have authority here.
So, yeah, Brenda, I would probably just say that a manufactured home shall have its own lot in accordance with the zone in which it is placed.
Right.
And so we're talking about a manufactured home not on a foundation.
Well, a manufactured home, I believe it.
You're welcome.
Except for in a mobile home park or a manufactured home park, it would have to be on a foundation.
Okay.
So what about modulars? Because that's,
Oh, why'd you bring that up? That just complicates things. Modulars. Are you talking single wides?
no, I'm talking about like modular homes where they pre-build it and just put it on a foundation.
Yeah, manufactured on a foundation.
Manufactured on a foundation.
Okay, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Get a VA loan.
Because once we start,
Okay.
You're welcome.
So I believe if it's not on a foundation, it's called a mobile home. If it is on a foundation, it's a manufactured home.
Not according to this.
Yeah, that's kind of where my brain.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
how? Because if I look at a mobile home, it is readily movable.
Well, okay. But according to this, it's only a manufactured home, and we don't have anything on here that specifies a mobile home.
You need to define mobile home.
Then the question you need to be asking is what?
Sir. Hey, Mr. Waller.
Helping you.
So then what we should be doing is adding on a definition of a mobile home park and a manufactured home
We
park.
have one.
But we have one
We
already.
need
So we need
the land use chart,
But we, oh, okay.
so we don't have it on the land use chart at all.
Yeah. So
We have
we
the
need,
definition, but we don't have it
yes.
here.
So we need to put a mobile home on the land use chart because it is different than a manufactured home. And we need to put a manufactured home definition on the definitions.
Well, and then we have a mobile home, you're welcome. We have a mobile home park, which is like, they're stationary, they're not moving anywhere.
It can be moved
It
because
can be moved,
that's a mobile home,
Just
right,
gotta take
but then you
wheels.
have an RV park.
which is different.
This is a conversation for like a long, long period of time. Once you start looking at the code with manufactured home park, I don't even want to get into that, but the manufactured home, it's mobile home / manufactured home park. And they use the terms interchangeably within that ordinance in and of itself. So that's an ordinance that we probably need to look at to either separate them out, mobile home manufactured, as well. So this conversation goes a lot deeper than just what Mr. Waller is
And now you're really
referring
gonna
to.
hate me because then you have the condominium use of the like common areas because you can purchase each one of your lots, or you can purchase there's a park over off of Peregrine where you just purchase the dwelling and you literally have to pay rent on the lot.
On the lot. So,
Yes. Sucks.
Why?
Exactly.
next topic.
Let's Same thing?
No, that's more of like, cause you're paying a fee for that land.
Yeah.
You own
So-
it.
Well,
lot rent.
if I'm
Right.
renting the land, I don't own it, I'm renting something.
You're renting the land, you
I'm
own
paying
the structure.
HOAs, I'm not buying anything, I'm paying for services, and it sounds the same to me, but,
And maybe that's the manufactured home park as opposed to.
yeah.
I mean, and a mobile home you can move, but a manufactured home that is on a foundation, it's literally on a foundation. You
Yeah.
cannot move that, but yet you don't own the property where it's actually located. You're paying rent on the lot.
On a module?
Yes.
And I think that's your manufactured home park scenario.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it needs delineation.
I've never seen this.
So, Brenda,
I'll send
something,
you the address.
something to
Thanks.
consider for
It doesn't make sense.
moving forward with this conversation is definition of manufactured home. Potentially along with manufactured home park. We already have a mobile home park definition, but we have nothing in our land use chart for a mobile home park or a mobile home.
I will throw tiny home in
And I'm gonna throw it in because Christina threw it in, we have nothing for RV.
RV as in a definition?
As in, like, the moment I think RV, I fly down American Legion and I look across the street from Smoky Mountain and I see a bunch of RVs sitting right there and campers. Where does that fall within our land use
It's a
chart?
commercial use,
So, okay,
so we don't have a lot in our code with regards to RVs. We don't have an ordinance that specifies any requirements to how they're built that I'm aware of. The only thing that I'm aware of with regards to RV parks is in the land use chart, and it says RV parks overnighters. That is the only location that I believe references
I
RV
see, that's
parks.
something we need to work on.
I don't know, and maybe Jeff can confirm if that could fall under a mobile home park or anything of that
Well,
nature.
even a mobile
'cause it
home
doesn't-
park has,
But they got, mobile homes gotta get.
They have
inspected.
design standards, they're on our design standards.
well, that and also has setback standards as well.
Yeah, yeah,
If you look at an RV, that commercial, they're up.
yeah, and currently I think most of our RV parks are under fire standards, so how close they can be to one another. But as far as I know, I don't believe we have an ordinance that specifies design standards for RV parks.
Because we did have one come through, I remember.
So, and it seems to think about it because the way the economy's going, I'm not
Mhm.
hoping that can. But people moving to RVs and looking for alternate, housing alternatives, like single family or single homes, tiny homes, stuff like that, so we got delineated because, I mean, we're already confused here.
You have that.
Don't worry, he's recording.
Thank you.
So you have
No, I'm gonna rent the camcorder, but I'm gonna own the
Tripod.
tripod, so.
So you have a.
It's
you have
on
a
government
definition
property.
for RV
When do you upload those?
in the definition.
Tonight, I guess.
You have a definition
Email
for
me a
recreational
copy?
vehicle
Okay, hold on.
in the code.
It'll be on YouTube.
So you have a definition. A recreational vehicle park is a plot of land upon which two or more recreational vehicles are located, established, or maintained for occupancy of recreational vehicles by the general public as temporary living quarters for recreation or vacation purposes. So, a plot of land upon which you have one RV is not an RV park. If there is two or more, and this is the use of a definition in order to capture and then ultimately regulate some sort of activity that you want to regulate. So, a plot of land upon which more than two or more are located as temporary living quarters for recreation or vacation purposes.
Okay, temporary, then what do you call it when it's permanent?
So then it's a dwelling. The structure in which they're living is a dwelling.
Even if it's movable?
Yeah. That goes back here.
Okay.
So some tweaking of these definitions is certainly in order. And then the land use chart tells you, so I've had to do enforcement actions in other jurisdictions where the definitions come into play. So ownership of keeping more than so many dogs turns you into a kennel. And the land use chart either allows kennels or doesn't allow kennels. So this is how you use this to regulate. So if you have something that turns into a problem or isn't in the right area where you don't want it, you can say, another example is a wrecking yard. More than so many inoperative motor vehicles that are unlicensed or inoperative is a wrecking yard. And wrecking yards are allowed in this zone, and this zone, and this zone, and not allowed in another zone. So now you have a zoning violation. That's how. Yeah,
So,
that's
okay.
one of the many ways in which we use definitions, is what I'm getting at. So you use it to include a certain amount of things and exclude a certain amount, and you include them so that they then appear under that definition. That term is used in another part of the code to say, you can do it here, it requires a conditional use permit, it requires these standards, and so forth, when you use that term as it's defined in the code.
So in that case, I'm gonna come back to you and say a dwelling can or cannot be in a commercial zone.
A dwelling can be in a commercial zone according to our land use chart and our zoning districts. However, which types of dwellings can be depending upon what zone it's in. So higher density, single families. So you can have residential dwellings in commercial zones. Some of them require conditional use permits, so it just depends on the types of dwellings within those zones.
You also encounter things that are currently the uses in existence today that was in existence prior to the code being adopted or being amended. So that it likely doesn't conform, but it is non-conforming by virtue of it having existed in
Prior
its
to
current
the
fashion
code.
prior to today.
Unless it changes hands, this then must follow.
They can
Yeah.
change hands, they can't expand or cease. If they cease the use for a certain period of time, that non-conforming status is extinguished. If they expand it, it is
I
extinguished.
think that's 10 years. And it has to be within writing, I think, according to the code,
Okay.
state code.
So ceasing the use for, I don't think it takes that long. I can't remember how long, but yeah. So non-conforming uses retain their ability to continue that use. Some city codes require that if the building is
Just a moment.
if a building is destroyed that's non-conforming, and remember there's uses that are non-conforming and buildings that are non-conforming. So I think we're getting a little afield here, but nonetheless, if the building's destroyed and the use to which it's going to be put is the same afterwards, it can't be. If that building's destroyed, it's got to conform to the zone in which it is, regardless of what it is.
Shall.
Shall. You weren't here for that conversation, but
So, and one thing you do, I mean, it's back to the annexation, and this came up in the city of Eagle years ago. When you annex something, you want to be very careful of existing non-conforming uses that are on that property. And hatch a plan at the outset during an annexation agreement that non-conformity goes away over a period of time.
Gotcha. Okay. Philip, did you have something?
Yeah, so let's add another one into this dwelling conversation and commercial. What is the airport considered commercial?
I'm looking at Jeff.
I don't have the zoning map in front of me. The zoning map will tell us.
I can't hear it, just
Yeah,
saying.
he doesn't have the zoning map. The zoning map says that the airport is in an I-1 zone.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, can I have a dwelling in that zone?
You cannot. No residential is allowed within an I-1 zone, except for watchmen's quarters.
Okay, what if I put sleeping quarters in a bedroom or in a bathroom in my hangar? Is that allowed?
Likely not.
Likely not.
How would we define that? have kitchen areas?
That is outside my realm of knowledge. I think would be a further conversation to have with the airport board.
Well, airport,
The reason I ask is Caldwell's going through this right now, so is Nampa. They have aircraft hangars with kitchens, bathrooms, and sleeping quarters in it for pilots who need to get rest.
yeah, that's,
So, since the Nampa airport is filling up, the Caldwell airport is filling up, and the Boise airport is full until they start going to the south. Nampa's a good area, or I mean, Mountain Hill's a good area to probably have people start looking at for hangar space. And I think we need to get some of that defined if we're talking about dwellings and things like that.
so, the airport is 100% regulated by the city. So,
Yeah, the airport's regulated by the city.
so their hangar has to comport with what the airport rules are, and if the airport doesn't want, if the airport board or the airport ordinance doesn't permit dwellings out there, they can't have them in their hangars. That's not to say they couldn't change that and allow it in a restricted way. It's certainly a good idea for pilots to be able to bed down if they're fighting fires and come back up an hour later.
Yep.
But I can think of about 100 ways that's gonna do violence to the fire code and other codes. So, but it's certainly not unheard of. But in any event, that isn't, that's 100% of the purview of the city of Mountain Home, and not just off in the wild like we're dealing with in zoning out in where everybody can do what they want, or tries to. So,
I just foresee a problem coming up
oh yeah,
in the future with regards to dwellings, because I can tell you right now, Nampa and Caldwell are going through those problems right now.
I had a former councilman bring this up to me probably 15 years ago about the low amount of money it costs to rent a hangar space, and his wife just put a house out there. I'm like, the heck you could. It may have been a different word.
But there's, I mean, as you know, where there's rules, there's lots of ways around those rules, but they're very strict and very defined, and I don't think we have a definition on those right now. Especially if we're having the conversation about dwellings, what that is.
So I guess the dwelling would be considered a use. And if that use is not allowed in that zone at this time, then it would not be allowed.
Well, and not just because of the zoning code. I mean, that's another handy tool in the toolbox, but because it's our airport. And we get to decide what people do in our airport.
Right. It could potentially be conditional, but that, again, that's a conversation that would need to be carried out, with the airport board, and probably the best place to start.
Okay.
All right, commission. Is there anything else we want to throw on the pot before we leave tonight? No, we just.
We did a lot of discussing.
I think, do you have a direction of where to go, Brenda, or do we want more definition to?
Nicole, you have something?
Well, like, we were talking about narrowing it down really to them, I guess, presenting it.
So. You didn't get that on video, did you?
I was trying to be quiet.
Well, it depends on, so Nicole and I had a conversation earlier, and maybe we take a deep dive into this and crunch it down, and then come back and have further conversations with it. Because at this point, we're kind of having a lot of the same conversations over, and they're becoming overlaid upon each other. So maybe Nicole and I, or maybe even involve one of you or two of you, to have a conversation, a meeting, one of you to join in with us and just have a session to determine kind of where we're at. So multiple sessions, but to help narrow this all in.
Right.
Because it becomes complicated and convoluted, and so,
Yeah. No, I would agree with you on that. So it's from what it sounds like to me, then you two take it back, start having those conversations, pull one of us in, and then I would say do a deep dive together, and then once you come up with everything, bring it back to us.
Bring it back,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll just remove it from the agenda for a while.
Okay.
Apparently, we have tribute here, volunteer.
I'm not the new guy anymore. That's fine.
He was like, fine, I'll do it.
I got no problem with it.
Yeah,
So,
so
okay.
maybe we do that once a week for an hour or something. And
Here's a question, once you get to, just thinking out loud, once you get the definitions defined, should we bounce it off with another member, just kind of sanity check it before we go to the bigger
Sure.
group?
Sure. And then also, and it might not hurt that once we kind of dial in things that we have a joint session
Right.
with council. That way, they're not having the same hashing out the same issues.
Well, the first meeting could be a roadmap, right? This is how we progress, like this is how we are gonna kind of attack this, like we're gonna go this zone, this zone, this zone.
Yes,
Then we'll present, right?
Yes.
Then we'll go this zone, and then that way the planning and zoning
it's still
committee
moving forward.
has that roadmap that, okay, the decision is gonna be made at this meeting for this portion, right? And then move on to the next, and then we're done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Until something else comes up like tiny house, thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
You
So,
gonna make a Gantt chart?
what's up?
You gonna make a Gantt chart on it?
I didn't say I was doing any of this. I am lending my opinion.
That is our first one.
No, whatever's needed. I mean, so, yeah,
Okay.
whatever gets this thing moving forward.
I
Right.
think it's a good game plan.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay.
And we
I'm not gonna
appreciate
say
all
that
your
again,
input
but-
thus far. But we really,
Mhm.
it's been taking a while, so we just need to
Yep.
move it forward.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard when we have too many spoons in the pot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of good ideas, and we appreciate them all.
Yep.
We do.
Okay, commission, there's nothing else? Dismissed. Adjourned, 6:33.
Lasted a whole 13 minutes.
Just, yeah, just let me know what kind of schedule you guys got worked out.
We don't have to schedule yet, but what is your